Hi everyone. Welcome to the podcast by Kilde. We are a private credit investment platform based out of Singapore and licensed in Singapore. We have here Diyar, who is from the company called Pulman, based out of Uzbekistan. So Diyar is the co-founder and chairman of the board at the company, and it's really great to have you here, Diyar. How are you doing today?
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. Yes, we're doing all right. Happy to be here as well.
Great, great. So, Dia, do you mind giving us a little bit of introduction about your professional background and the journey that led you to founding Pullman?
Sure. Well, I've been in finance more than 20 years. And before setting up the company in Uzbekistan, we've had quite an extensive experience with the microfinance in Kazakhstan. So we're still running a company in Kazakhstan since 2014, I think. Right after we heard that Uzbekistan is undergoing massive reforms in economic and financial sectors, so we were among the first international investors to join the sector and to join the market back in 2018. So the company is operating since 2018. We first opened our branch in Tashkent, Uzbekistan, and as of today, we have more than 20 branches all over the country. As for the personal background, just to briefly give you the information about what I've been involved in different countries. So my last occupation was with the company, private equity sector in company in Kazakhstan. So it was intra-governmental private equity fund. Before that, I worked for Development Bank of Kazakhstan, I've had an experience with Islamic Development Bank as well. And I used to have I had experience in commercial banking.
That's great to hear. So you bring a lot of experience and also from other markets and coming into Uzbekistan with a lot of experience. I think for today, I think as an introduction, we'll start with the Pullman's mission. What is Pullman, first of all? What is Pullman's mission?
Well, as you said, is one of the first foreign microfinance institutions in Uzbekistan, and we're operating as a microfinance institution. Our mission is kind of become, tip of the mind financial partner for micro enterprises and small enterprises who need immediate access to financial services. We aim to solve the financial part of the initiatives that are being implemented now in the country, and try to offer a good service to people who are maybe lacking access to financial services. That's why, as I told, we have a presence in more than 20 regions of the country.
Understood. So how do you differentiate yourself from the competition in the industry?
When we first started the company, there was not so much competition. And, as I said, we used to work in Kazakhstan, and we could see what's happening in the microfinance sector in Kazakhstan. So if you take the ratios, for instance, when we started entering the Uzbek market, Kazakhstan already had more than 250 MFIs functioning within the boundaries of Kazakhstan, whereas Uzbekistan, having double the population of Kazakhstan, only had around 50 to 60 MFIs functioning. As I thought, as I told, they were on the start. They just started the great reforms that are still going on. Great reforms in financial sector, great reforms in economic sector. So partial liberalization of MFI sector. That's when we jumped in. And as of today, the competition is of course growing. But we have, I can say, the advantage of the first comer. And we have already worked with more than 30,000 customers as of today since the opening of the company, and retention rates are quite high. More than 60% of our portfolio is the customers that we used to serve before, so they're second and third comers. That's basically it. We try to keep our service at the best, and we try to impose appreciation programs for returning customers. So that's and of course the 20 branches that we've opened all over the country, they help us a lot. It's the geographical outreach.
It's quite interesting that you're touching upon the customer base um, with about 30,000 customers and retention rate about 60%. I think I want to understand a little bit more about the customers that you're serving. I think you touch upon them being underbanked. So can you share a little bit more details about the target market?
Even as of today, despite the fact that the sector is growing rapidly, for instance, our company grew more than fourfold since the opening, and we're still growing more than 50% per year. Despite that fact, there is strong demand from our target customers. We adopted a strategy in 2022 of moving from the high industrialized cities more towards the rural areas where the presence of the banks and traditional players is not so high, and it paid a good service to our company, because we're managing to get the most reliable customers, I would say, the ones that are in need for financing to expand their micro and small businesses, and that are in need to fast service. Usually what we do is when they come the first day, we try to let them go with money if everything is okay, if the scoring procedures are up to the standards that we impose. We try to let them go the first day with the money. And as I told before, despite the fact that the reforms are and the reforms are going very fast. The sector is growing very fast. Despite even that fact, the Uzbek penetration of loans is still on the low spectrum. If you compare it to average world figures, the percentage of unbanked is still something at around 50%. So, and it's mainly, as you can understand, not the big cities, it's the rural areas. But things are changing really fast. The digital products are reaching even the farthest places of the country.
Well, what are some of the things that you're doing to penetrate the rural areas?
Yeah, well, we open so-called service centers and information centers where customers, it's like you can compare it to last mile economics, where customers can come and get the necessary information, and then they can call the loan officers directly. We've set up a special call center for that aggregates all the applications. Then if customers feels that the product might be a good fit for them, and if we feel that the product might be a good fit for them, we just refer them to the nearest location. And usually it takes not more than 1 or 1.5 hours driving to get to the nearest location. Sometimes it takes not more than 10 minutes. Now it depends on how far the location of the customer is from our main one of the 20 branches.
It's quite interesting. We're jumping into the operational side of reaching to the customers in the last mile. What are some of the other operational challenges that you foresee, and then how have you been overcoming them?
Well, historically speaking, the major operational challenge for us, we're a foreign player. We were foreign player. We were the newcomer to the market. The major thing is, given the lots of traditional things in the Uzbekistan society, you have to build trust with locals. Usually, it's very conservative when it comes to starting from buying food and going to getting loans. They are very conservative. What surprised us the first time is that they very often prefer service and reference. By reference, I mean word of mouth. For instance, if his brother or neighbor got a good service, they will definitely come for service as well. And what surprised us is that sometimes you can have a competitor next door which gives more attractive rates but lacks some service features, and you'll still get customers coming to your door. Building trust with the local customers was the hardest thing, and building brand awareness was the next hardest thing. So we've set up on our second and third year of operation, we've set up quite an extensive marketing campaign, and it went pretty well. So far, it's been 3 years since the major marketing campaign, and so far people are still coming and asking and referring to the marketing campaign. And so that's how we managed to build brand awareness. And the ongoing operational challenge is to keep up the good service, to keep your employees motivated. That's, I would rate, the second hardest challenge in Uzbekistan, is getting the right people to work with.
So in terms of the product portfolio that you have, can you explain a little bit more about it?
Sure, we have a range of products. As of today, all of them are secured against collateral. All of our products should be secured against collateral. So more than half of them, I think even more than 70% of them are secured against cars. So because it's one of the major assets for population in Uzbekistan. Another good thing that I would like to point out about the market is that it's not over leveraged when you compare it to other Central Asian markets or Asian markets. There's no over leverage, so there's always a thing to be pledged if a customer needs to expand his business, his or her business. By the way, we're very much focused on rural and female-oriented businesses. As practice shows, they're the best customers so far. So we know our customers, we know our portfolio. So going back to the products, we usually, like more than 99% of our portfolio is secured against collateral. So if you divide it into the ranges, there are two main ranges. First is the micro loans, and for micro enterprises and smaller enterprises secured against. By the way, in the micro enterprises, we include the households as well. There are many people doing small businesses without registering the official entity. So if we're talking about the range of products, there are two major segments. First is loans against the cars. The second is loans against the commercial real estate. And if we're talking about commercial real estate, by commercial real estate, we mean small shops. We mean like small, real estate outlets, former residential real estate that's been converted to commercial. And our main policy, to look at the collateral to make sure it's commercial, not residential.
That's quite interesting. Why cars? Is there something
Well,
specific?
cars are like universal product. First of all, it's easy to work with. There are lots of car aggregators, car sales aggregators, where you can compare them, where you can get appraisal, where you can get prices, where you can see if the asset is liquid or not. It's the first thing that comes into the mind of the customer when he comes. And of course, we offer them different options of collateral, ranging from real estate, movables, whatsoever, but the most liquid ones are cars. There is a special attitude of people in Central Asia towards we pretty much value car. We look after cars like after our children, sometimes we say. Keep them clean, especially Uzbekistani people are very neat, I would say. If you visit Tashkent, you can see all the cars are clean, usually white, and people are very much aware of what type of car you're driving. So it's kind of an asset coming from the, I think, ancient times, where people used to love their horses. Now they love their cars.
I would assume Japanese car brands would be the most popular, or Is there
No, in fact, Uzbekistan is one of the most advanced countries in the world by car production. You would be surprised by the localization level, by the number of brands in the country. Major brands are, of course, it's Korean and American brands, Chevrolet, Daewoo, and they pretty much produce everything, starting from wheels and ending by, ending by leather. Localization is more than 95%. If you compare it to other post-Soviet country or Central Asian country, it's a completely different story. So there is no lack of collateral, I would say, in this market.
in terms of the market? I want to dive a little deeper into the trends that you're seeing in the Uzbek market, and how are you positioned to capitalize on them?
Well, as I said before, as I said earlier, the market is developing rapidly. The economy itself has been ranked in 2022 as second in the world fastest growing economy.
Wow.
And the sector is, of course, in order to keep up with all the economic reforms, and the reforms, by reforms, I mean liberalizing major sectors of the economy, motivating people to do small and medium businesses, opening more enterprises. The financial sector is the first one that has to keep up with the pace. You have to provide liquidity for the growing economy. And the trends are going into digital space, of course. The second trend I would say is liberalization of the sector itself as well.
Mhm.
And we can see, if you compare, for instance, the other Central Asian countries, the legislation has been pretty much evolving gradually. And if we say about Uzbekistan, they know how to leapfrog. I mean, the authorities and the government, they know how to leapfrog and get, not the gradual approach, but the best approach ever. So you can see global players coming in with the digital products, with fintech products. So you can see the locals adapting to the digital trends. You can also see that some locals are not adapting, and you can see the consequences of that going out of the market, or we can see the mergers and acquisitions due to the lack of adaptations. As for the trends, we're moving from the sector is being directed from retail financing more towards the enterprise financing. By enterprise, I mean micro businesses, small and medium businesses. So that's are the major trends that I can outline for now.
I'm looking into the future. Are there any new products, services, or markets, even markets that you're excited about?
Yeah, well, I can't disclose too many things now because we're still working on that. We're constantly testing new products. What I can say now, what we're very optimistic about, is I would say, group lending, rural lending as well, like especially rural lending when we talk about group lending. Also, we're kind of looking at some tailor-made products. Each region has some specific needs, and we're trying to tailor some things. We're now collecting quite an extensive database from our existing customers and from our new coming customers. And based on that, we're working now on three different new products. One is more tailored towards Islamic finance. The second is tailored more towards group financing, and the third one is tailored more into direction of it's kind of mix of BNPL, but still having collateral.
But just out of interest for me, I'm a bit uneducated about this. What is Islamic finance?
Well, Islamic finance is a rapidly growing sector. If we're talking about worldwide, there are many people who believe that they cannot use the financial product, especially from the traditional financial institutions. And Islamic finance tries to convince them that it's not true. You still can use products that are in accordance with their religious beliefs, in accordance with the Sharia. They call them Sharia compliant. There are numerous various products. If we're talking about leasing, it's ijara. If we're talking about traditional loans, it's murabaha. So the loans, that has to have a basic asset like a metal. So you basically agree with the customer upon the predetermined profit margin. It's based on the profit and loss sharing. The concept is profit and loss sharing. And there are many, given the fintech trends, there are many products that can be fitted within the boundaries of Islamic finance. You still can, as a financial institution, earn good margins, and a person that's keen to his religious belief, he can still feel that he's doing so-called halal or clean things, and that's on the rise globally. And Uzbekistan, as all other Central Asian countries, are of religious people is quite high, and as of today, it's quite a substantial part of the population is consider themselves to be underserved. There's very little, in American terms, a very little number of Islamic compliant financial products and institutions.
One key question that investor would have is how you would ensure the financial stability of your company.
Well, as for financial stability, the figures tell about themselves. You can look at our portfolio, you can look at our non-performing loans. We would be happy if we have already provided all the documentation, and I think Kyle has done a great job at KYC, screening processes, analyzing the company. The NPL is less than 1%. Among 30,000 loans that's been disbursed so far, only 4 of them has been brought to court. 4 out of 30,000. It's a pretty good indicator of safety. We hire very much professional top management, hire professional middle management. All the procedures are in place. By the way, the supervisory authority in Uzbekistan, which is central bank, is one of the strictest, I think, in terms of following all the prudential norms. That's one of the countries where you cannot play, I would say, with numbers or figures, and that's a good thing because we've seen precedents in other Central Asian countries where there's been crises within the sector. Non-performing loans are skyrocketing. So that's a word of praise towards the authorities. And when it comes to the company itself, so we are obliged to do the audits every year, and we're doing our internal audits on a quarterly basis. So we have IT infrastructure in place with the levels of access. So each employee has a certain level of access only, and very prudent care when it comes to portfolio. Portfolio is more than 250% collateralized as of today, which means that if you take the market value of all the pledged assets, it's more than two and a half fold of compared to portfolio.
I want to jump into the leadership and team topic. What's the size of the team at Pulman?
It's already more than 100 people. 30% of them are the central branch. The rest are, the headquarters is 30%. The rest are people at the branches. So we are following OCR. By the way, going back to I forgot to mention that we adopted Camel practice. So every quarter we compare ourselves to what we've been the last quarter in quantitative and qualitative terms. And the system imposed it's by international financial organizations when you want to get funded by them as well.
What are Pullman's plans for the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, as I said, we're planning to expand our geography to all the distant cities of Uzbekistan. There are more than 100 cities in Uzbekistan, and we're currently present at not more than in 15 big cities and small cities overall. We have more than 20 branches, and we plan to expand our a presence to more than 50 cities in 3 years.
So I think we're coming to the last set of two questions. My question is, how do you envision the partnership with Kilde, scaling Pullman's ambitions?
Well, Kilde is a really great idea. I mean, the platforms, the investment funding platforms are great idea in terms of attracting retail and medium-sized investors to participate in the funding of various projects all over the world, including the social responsibility projects, including the projects in distant areas. And one of the good things for us is that you can be present in Central Asia, and get investments from elsewhere in the world, let's say Singapore, Dubai, or any other big cities where the concentration of investors is pretty high. So Kilde can pretty much close the gap between the investors that are looking to invest elsewhere and the companies that are in need of investments.
Thanks for your kind words. I only have one last question, Diyar.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to say anything to our investors?
Yes, well, first of all, I would like to say thank you if you're investing in us and if you're believing in our company. And moreover, I would like to say that it's good to have investors participating in the development of such a great country as Uzbekistan and the development of region of Central Asia. And they are truly becoming the part of something big. So I would like to say thank you, and I would like to set up another round of interview in, let's say, 2-3 years to see where we came and what the results are.
Thanks for this, Diyar. We're coming to the closing of the interview. Thanks for your time.
Sure. Okay, goodbye.